When we look at our directions for Work Together 11-3, we see that we're going through and using a partial cash payments and general journals, and we have our general ledger account forms. We need to start a new page for a general ledger. We started new pages for a subsidiary ledger, but we need to go through and start a new page for our supplies office with an account number of 1145. Again, when we see an account number that starts with a 1, we should know, hey, that's an asset. So we're going to find our supplies office. And again, the date is October 1st of the current year. And we are bringing a balance, which means the previous form was full, so we just have to fill in the word balance there to show that that's where we got our number from. We put a V in the check mark, and I don't put anything in debit and credit, but I do need to know whether or not it has a debit or a credit balance. So which one does it have? Why? Because it's an asset, exactly. So it does not tell you in the directions whether or not it was a debit or credit balance. They expect you to know by now, because it's February, what our normal balance is. Michelle, you getting in? So we went ahead and opened up that account balance. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to look in our general journal, and this is going to be a bulk of where we post individually to our general journal from our general ledger from our general journal. So we can see here, because our general journal has no special columns, everything needs to be posted individually. So when we take a look at line, I need to do my cash payments first. Sorry, I would have thrown us off. Line 14. Supplies office. We need to post this amount for $69.60, but they, for some strange reason, already have our account number posted in there. So I'm going to do CP, and then it is my cash payments journal 15. And what I am posting from my cash payments journal is the amount that is in my general column right here. So I'm going to be posting this $69.60 as a debit to supplies office. Aptly it has a mistake because it should not have that post reference fill in there yet. Supplies had a previous balance of $3,824, and I'm going to add to it $69.60. So its new balance is $3,893.60. And again, typically the last step would be to take that account number and put it back up on top. But they already did that for you. So we posted from our cash payments journal. Now we're going to post from our general journal. I tried to skip that step before, sorry. So on our general journal, line 1, October 12th, sales, returns, and allowances. Sales has a credit balance. Sales, returns, and allowances is a contra account to sales, so therefore it has a debit balance. That was a question over half the class got wrong on your test for the last chapter, what a contra account is. I've been saying that lots of times. So to post a sales, returns, and allowance, you can see that we are debiting it $52. We'll put the date of the 12th. Post reference is G11. And we're debiting it 52. So it previously had a balance of $903, and I'm going to add 52 to it. So $955. And then account number 4130 goes back up top. Do the same thing to sales tax payable. Now you will notice sales tax payable has a credit balance of $1,410. But I am debiting it $3.12, so I have to subtract. Because I have a customer that returned items, so I don't owe as much sales tax. So my new balance of sales tax should be $1,406.88. So make sure you subtract there and put it as a debit, not adding it. And then the last one we post to is our controlling account, accounts receivable. The date is the 12th. G12, 11, sorry. And we are crediting accounts receivable $55.12 because David Bishop returned product to us. Previously, my total value that I should have been receiving from all my customers would have been $1,339.85. David returned $55.12. So now the total amount that I should receive from my customers is $1,284.73. I subtract off the value of what David returned. So now my new balance is $1,284.73, and account number 1130 goes back up the top. Now, this is one of the things I don't like about this assignment. We had already posted to David Bishop. In reality, you don't go through and post your accounts receivable ledger and then post your accounts payable ledger and then do your general ledger. Typically what you do is you do them all at the same time. You start at the top of your journals and you work your way down. So typically, when you see this transaction on line 3 there, you would first go to post your controlling account to the accounts receivable. Then you would find David Bishop, your subsidiary ledger, and you post to that. So you would be posting that 5512 twice. One in the general ledger and one in the subsidiary ledger. So that's one of the things I think that throws students off a little bit when we do this, because they're like, well, why do we have to post it twice now when before we did it 2 days ago and now we're doing it today? So I don't really like that very much. The fourth, we're going to post a supplies office. And this transaction truly is we bought supplies on an account. So we have to increase the value of our supplies by $2,544. That's a lot of supplies. So now I have supplies worth $6,437.60. And then account number 1145 goes back up top. Now we're going to do the same thing on line 5, except we did on line 3, except instead of going to accounts receivable, we're going to accounts payable. Because the total amount that we owe vendors has gone up by $2,544. Now a bulk of our transaction dealing with the accounts payable is going to be in our purchases journal, except this one we didn't buy merchandise to sell. We went through and bought an asset. So previously my balance in accounts payable was $2,517.80. Now I'm going to add that new one in there. So now I owe all of my vendors $5,061.80. And then account number 2,110 goes back up top. And you will see on line 6 here, I have accounts payable / art and things, and that is a debit memorandum. A debit memorandum is we returned items that we purchased. Okay, so we originally bought something from Art and Things that we were going to try to sell to our customers, but they were defective, whatever, and we're returning them. So we no longer owe Art and Things $125. So we have to go through and debit accounts payable $125. So I need to subtract that. So my new balance is going to be $4,936.81. Because again, this is a debit and it previously had a credit balance. If you have 2 debits, you add. If you have 2 credits, you add. If you have a debit and a credit, you subtract, and the balance is going to be whatever one is bigger. And then the last one we post to is purchases, returns, and allowances. Because I can't do math. How about 80? Is that better? Thanks, Devin. Purchases, returns, and allowance is a contra account to the account purchases. It is only there to keep track of things that we take away from our purchases account. So we're going to have the date is the 28th, post reference is G11. And we are going to credit purchases, returns, allowance $125. Purchases normally has a debit balance, so purchases, returns, and allowance as a contra account will have a credit balance. So I'm going to add $125 to its balance. I have $2,026.35 to do better on that cents one, Devin. All right, thanks. Thanks for helping me out. So, and then account number 5130 goes back up on top. So the only tricky part here is watching when you have to go through to post both to a subsidiary ledger and a general ledger because of one line. And examples of those are going to be on line 3, 5, and 6, where we have one amount and we have to post it in 2 separate ledgers. Always remember we have 3 ledgers now: general, accounts receivable, and accounts payable. The term for our term for our accounts receivable and accounts payable ledger is called a subsidiary ledger. Those are, again, a lot of our vocabulary words that sometimes kick people in the butt. Go ahead and try on your own if you're not already there.